Everyone, okay, welcome to the other videos where we have to go through how can we perform this, the tests. And that's why I say perform wireless network security testing as part of PCI DSS. You are not a qualified QSA. So at the end of the day, once you are working for the organization, of course, you want to make sure whatever thing they are doing, you have an idea of what is being done, right? And that's why I say identify wireless network access point. For example, was the action. You have to map out and identify all wireless access point. Remember now we're talking about wireless access point. We know what that means. In your network, for example, you have to document each wireless router, switches, or access point that is part of being connected to your cardholder environment. That's your CDE, right? Then step two, you also want to validate your encryption protocols. For example, ensure that they have WPAQ or 3 encryption is enabled for wireless network or handling payment. Why is it important? Weak encryption protocols such as web should be avoided as they can be easily cracked. And that's something that you guys want to check. Why do we make this statement? What kind of encryption is this? I'm not going to say it because I believe you guys, you know, each time that's just me when you see something new, do yourself a favor, try to read and understand the concept. And that's why I chose to go with the acronym instead of having the full, name, right? Example, you can also test encryption strength using tool like Wireshark. Wireshark is a nice tool, I've used it before, or air cracking to capture and verify the encryption of wireless transmission. When you're working for the organization, of course, now you can work with the different stakeholders to make sure that they provide the necessary artifacts. You already have the kind of questions that you can ask them, correct? Another one will has to be with vulnerability scanning, where first you have to run vulnerability scan to test the wireless network for known vulnerabilities or security flaws and weaknesses within your system. For example, you can have weak encryption, they can have open port or even misconfiguration. So you're scanning to be able to identify all those limitations or weaknesses, right? And of course, you can have tools like Nessus, scanning tool, Qualys, OpenVAS, to scan so as to check for vulnerabilities within your wireless environment. And as an example, they say scan the network for open ports and outdated wireless standards that might expose cardholder data. You see? And then we also have penetration test is something that they can also perform. And from so now we already know what it means, what pen tests are. First, they identify weaknesses in the wireless network and any access point that might be vulnerable to unauthorized access. And we have different tools that they can use to eventually conduct or carry that. And the way that carry out this is to brute force, do try to brute force into the wireless access point just to see if there are any weaknesses or vulnerabilities that they can identify and take preventive measure or proactive measure by remediate or mitigating before it turns to an actual incident. Then the next one, we have configuration testing. Well, first, we also want to verify that wireless access points are properly configured to restrict unauthorized access with features such as MAC address filtering, SID hiding, or even strong password. For example, have you been to an organization where you have to log in via the guest network? And that's something that you can also do in your house. You can definitely enable two network. When guest comes in, you want to get access to the guest network. That way it's also separated from your main network, right? Wi-Fi connection. So they are doing that to completely isolate from the CAD and that only authorized personnel can definitely access sensitive system. You get? And then we also have, to implement rogue wireless detection tool and regular monitoring. How can they do that? Install rogue wireless detection tool. For example, I'm just giving you guys again going overview. That way we have an idea, understand how this is being done, behind the scene, in as much as we are not the one doing it, right? They can also implement rogue wireless detection tool that continually monitor your network for any unauthorized access, for authorized wireless access. And they have different tools like Earth Magnet, to scan for rogue access point on the network, right? And how is this being done? For example, set up software that continually scan for environment for rogue APs on authorized wireless access point and alert administrator when unauthorized device is detected. So that is being installed that continuously scan it in real time In case of any anomalous or suspicious activities, then administrators will be alert. They'll will be notified so that they can investigate and check if it's an actual, incident going on within your environment. The next one has to do with monitor wireless activities. Again, continuous monitor wireless activity in real time. Use network monitoring tool like Wi-Fi analyzer, NetSpot to crack or track wireless signal, you see, and detect any unusual activities. Right now, we're talking of wireless. You guys, I did an incredible job. I'm so proud of myself. That's the honest truth. I have to give my flowers. Teaching you all about modulation and all those things. That's a typical physics concept. But for me to be able to take upon those challenges, I took the challenge to research and to deliver that. I feel like that's something that I need that flower for myself. Even if nobody gives me, honestly, I will give myself flowers. Okay. For example, set up alerts in your SIM, that's your security information and event management. That's a SIM tool like Splunk, right? System to notify administrator when a new or unregistered wireless device is connected to your network. Immediately they will be notified. They can investigate it. If there's anything, then they can definitely, disconnect and even blacklist, that particular IP address coming from that particular the IP address is coming from that device, right? So what's the action? Ensure that physical security measures are also in place to prevent unauthorized wireless access point from being physically installed into your environment. For example, remember I've mentioned of security badges, your CCTV cameras, they also have restricted access to prevent unauthorized personnel from connecting wireless access point to the network. You understand? If I have my Wi-Fi, all those things, videos, editing, all those things. Again, it goes through the internet before they are, they're operational. And that's why you also want to make sure that, you have access control, those physical control that are being restricted, right? And the next one has to do with conduct regular audits and inspection. They want to also schedule regular wireless audits to identify and remove rogue access points. For example, conduct physical site survey to check for any rogue access point that may have been set up with that authorization. Then also need to update detection tools. Regularly update your rogue detection software to stay ahead of new techniques used by attackers to install rogue access point. Make sure your rogue detection tool signature database is updated regularly to detect newly identified wireless threats, right? Then tools for wireless security testing, we have Wi-Fi analyzer, this for scanning and visualizing wireless network signal to detect unauthorized network, magnet, comprehensive tool for wireless network security, including rogue AP detection, Casemate wireless network detector and sniffer that helps identify rogue device, Akau professional wireless network analysis and design tool that can help with rogue access point detection, Wireshark for capturing and analyzing wireless traffic to verify encryption and also to detect anomalies. But what are some of the best practices? Again, restrict, separate, provide user awareness training, and also conduct annual audits, right? Periodically audits, testing just to make sure that you all stay in compliance with PCI DSS. And that's run up this video. Why the next video? We will talk on handling accidental receipt of cardholder data via unintended channel. What if you accidentally receive information that contains cardholder data or SAP for a channel unintended, a channel that is uncompliant with PCI DSS? What are you going to do? I'll see you on the next video. Okay.